You're in my shirt! You're in my shirt!
Location.
None. And we are live. I'm here with a couple of individuals. I have basically formulated.
No introduction needed.
Yeah, no introduction needed. They're back by popular demand. I've concocted what is essentially ratings gold automatically. It is Alf Benny from the great state, the Show Me State. No, the Garden State.
Yeah, the Garden State.
Garden State, even though
What's up, guys?
he is of his descent is Peruvian. Some say Mexican.
Yeah.
I think he passes as like Puerto Rican or Hispanic, general Hispanic.
General Hispanic, yeah, I can see that.
And he is with us. Hi, say hello, Alf.
What's up, guys?
Also, we have with us a rare treat. His name is Marino. I just visited him in Toronto. And he is in the middle of a polar vortex, but he is kind enough to be here with us to share his thoughts. Marino, say hello.
Hello.
Awesome. We have 51 people watching our inane babble.
Yeah.
Let me explain to you what we're doing. We're going to go into. We just watched something very horrific, but that's it's not really the right word. It was Mandy, this movie by this Greek guy, Panos, and it came on my radar because I think maybe Phil and Selma and I talked about it once. We saw the trailer for it, but the trailer is kind of fucked up in and of itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Devin,
Yeah,
Devin,
you
have
can
you
tell
seen
it's like-
Mandy?
Devin, have you seen a movie called The Slippery Eels of just yeah, it was. We just watched it. Give me your initial thoughts on it. Like, give me your just random word association. What do you feel right now?
I think I want to see it again, but I think it was a great looking movie. I don't know what the message behind it was. I think it was a revenge story.
So
I mean, I've heard people talk about it saying it might be an acid trip. She might not really be dead, blah, 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 this, that, the other, but I don't buy it.
it was all a symbolic thing, an analogy.
Yeah, I think it was an artsy. That's how I see it.
What do you think? I mean, you like visuals. You appreciate visuals, but these
The music
visuals,
was good too.
they had a real angle to them. I mean, it wasn't trying to be beautiful per se. There was some beauty in it, but all that beauty was sort of drowned out by the tone. I feel like the pacing was very deliberate, very agonizing.
It builds up, right? Like the first half is really slow, and it slowly starts building into chaos, right?
And that's a different kind of thing, because when you have horror and you extend it and just take your time with it, that becomes agonizing in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want out of this environment that I'm in.
Yeah, it unnerves you, right? You feel off. You're like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah. Oh, spoiler. Yeah, we don't want to give too many spoilers.
True.
I mean, the basic gist of it is, though, it's a revenge type movie. I don't think that's. And we were commenting on how that is popular just as a theme.
Yeah.
Take out this genre, maybe even, within action films, you have tons of revenge plots. But what about like comedy or even romantic sort of stuff? Could you see a revenge plot in a romantic comedy?
Sure.
So like the guy that dumps you or fucks you over, you get back at him at the end somehow.
Everyone has their list.
When was the last romantic comedy that was good?
Okay. I haven't seen one in forever.
Well, yeah, but you guys are...
Punch Drunk Love. Didn't I just mention that before?
Oh, yeah, that was a good movie. I like that.
Yeah.
Really? I don't think I saw it. Who's in it?
It's great. It's Adam Sandler and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
As a gay couple?
No.
No. It's not a comedy either. That was like the first movie Adam Sandler did that wasn't a comedy at all.
Then let me ask you guys, as a viewer of horror as a genre, like, why did we just watch that? Because it doesn't make you feel good. Like, it doesn't leave you optimistic or hopeful or happy. So,
do you think it was a horror? Do you consider that a horror movie?
I would say it's more within the realm
horror,
of drug
action,
drug gore,
what's the
psychedelic horror action. That's what you call it.
I mean, I think one of my main criticisms of it, I mean, not to go critical instantly, but it is the same criticism I have for a lot of horror films, which is why? Like,
Why?
why did it happen? Why did these wrongs get committed? And I'm usually left without feeling satisfied with the answers provided.
Yeah, it's usually a thing of like, well, they're just evil.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like maybe that is the message, but that
Well,
message is
was there
empty.
was there an allusion to the they were talking about the particular type of acid they were given that made them go nuts? Was that
Yeah. Well, we
did I
met
read that right?
we
Where
met
they
we met the dude who made it, and he didn't seem to be
yeah.
too balanced.
No, he was slightly off.
Only
You could see
slightly.
that.
He needed a couple
Yeah,
tweaks.
just a little bit.
He kept in good shape.
He did let the tiger go.
Yeah. What was that? Just a
Hmm.
That was just
Yeah,
humanitarian
that
act?
that was how long they can afford the tiger for the movies.
Mhm.
I mean, do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying though?
he made one past movie Beyond the Black Rainbow, and I think that has to do with like cults as well. Then maybe this guy has an issue with like cults and
See,
stuff like that.
I think it would be helpful to see an interview of this guy just to see how his mind works and to understand
Mhm.
who he is. And then it would probably put this film in perspective. Like I remember seeing Quentin Tarantino and just listening to that guy talk and seeing how his brain sort of autistically just bounces around.
Yeah,
And I don't know, it informed every future Quentin Tarantino movie I saw. Like I just
yeah,
felt
it
like I knew
does.
the guy. But half the time these dudes are behind the scenes, like the writers, the directors, and you just have
How
no
many?
sense. Hmm.
So go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I was gonna say, how many movies has this guy done?
This is his
Hmm.
second movie
So
ever.
it's only a second. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
He's the son of a director though, so he is like a Hollywood kid. You know,
so this shit must be way underground. Like this movie is not a
this one
mainstream.
this one was more. I wouldn't say it's super underground. It's not mainstream like you said, but it's been passed around, like it's been advertised and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
his
Is
first
it? Is it?
movie, like I didn't even hear about it till like years after it came out. I was like, what? You know, and I'm into this scene, so I didn't even hear about it till way later.
What a weird. Oh my God, Grant, what are your criticisms of my criticism? That was a Josh Banko quote. Nice. One of the weird things about a film like this is like they decide to put that intro or just the word
Mhm.
Mandy like must have been 2/3 of the way through the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was
What?
it was about 2/3.
And then they had all these animated sequences, so he just
I think the
fucked with
animated
reality.
sequences was his dreams, right? Every time he was knocked out, he had
Well, the
there was
funny
animation.
you never get a sense that you're in the real world. A lot of it's sort of dream
No, yeah,
sequency, drugged out. Until for me, like the first time I felt I was in the real world was when the lights were on and we were in the bathroom with Nicolas Cage in his underwear.
Yeah.
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 It's like that's for me the movie. Okay, I just woke up from something. I mean,
I think that was the same with him though. I think he just kind of woke up from something, right? Like that
Cheese
experience had
commercial.
a
yeah,
life. Yeah, so he started chugging that like whatever that was, the booze,
I love the fact
to
that
put himself back into that.
he had that black friend who's just like you walk over to his trailer and you're like, I need weapons. I'm going hunting,
Mm.
Yeah,
and he's just like, oh, I got your back. Here's some bone piercing uh, arrows for your
yeah.
compound crossbow. Yeah, that's so dark.
And he was like, Jesus freaks. He was like, "Oh, is it Jesus? I didn't know it was Jesus freaks hunting season."
I
It's
feel.
like,
I feel like I've
Mm.
seen this movie
it's happened
before.
before.
Like I think this
Uh-huh.
sort
Yeah.
of thing has been
Well,
done
it is a
1,000
callback to
times.
like the 80s. Yeah, it's a callback
Yeah,
to like,
70s
especially
and
I could
80s.
especially feel like that Italian horror movie feel from the,
Yeah,
like with
it's a bit like
the long break.
Suspiria, isn't it?
Yeah, with the long takes and the colors and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's definitely a callback to that.
It also
Yeah.
I'm
sort
certainly a
of
fan of that.
it spits on the reputation of cults and hippies and drug culture.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm.
like I'm not a big proponent of LSD, but surely it's not that bad. Like it can't be that bad.
No. No, that had to be some special LSD they were making. They were like mixing concoctions. That one guy that had the mason jar full of that weird liquid
Hmm.
and took a pinky drop of it, remember? And like
Yeah.
blew his mind.
So
And I
I'm,
was
I'm
like,
assuming
dude, that's a weird concoction of shit. Like who knows?
I'm assuming that's what they dropped into her eye at the
Yeah,
beginning.
probably.
in the-
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the
And then
daughter,
mixed
yeah.
it with the sting of that bug too.
I mean, It was an okay film. It was
Yeah.
fun. I don't think it was particularly original.
Mm.
Well,
No,
I mean,
no,
it's all
it's
things
definitely
we've seen
like an
before.
homage film, you know.
Yeah.
100%, it's an homage to stuff.
you don't think that the gay sort of twist at the end was a nice touch?
Yeah,
The gay.
but
Oh, when he.
that hippie cult leader dude. I mean, he was probably
Yeah,
into all
yeah.
types of shit, like who knows, goats. And
You know, it'd be awesome if the whole thing was a commercial for erectile dysfunction.
yeah. But at the end, it ends with him going to the pharmacy to pick up Viagra.
Dude, I'm getting some super chats. This is awesome.
Yeah.
You know
Read
why?
it.
Because Alf and Marino
Yeah.
are here with me.
Yeah.
I'm just
so I'll
riding.
take-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys agreed to 5% each. 5 loaves of bread.
You're larping on the shoulder.
Loaves of bread.
Yeah,
giants.
LARPing. He asks, "Can I be conservative and atheist?" Yes.
No.
Nope. Well, you could be. Yeah, conservative and atheist. Sure. I mean, the issue is, I've always said religion is not a political issue. I've always said, like, politics. We've had politics forced down our throats. Hardly anybody is
Mhm.
politically aware or politically active. Who cares? At what point have you been tickled by the prospect of politics being like a major part of your life?
I thought that's why we had politicians, so they can handle the politics.
Yeah, and it's also just insanely boring. There's a reason why C-SPAN gets no ratings. Gets the same ratings as this stream, actually. It's a similar viewer base. But hold on, we're drifting off topic. Let's get back to Mandy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, although what you were saying about it being nothing new, it is something we don't get very often anymore. Is movies like that?
Of course, because who's the market for that?
Yeah. Yeah. There's. I mean, I don't think a big studio. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Was it a?
No, it's not a huge studio. It's like one of these underground ones, but not so underground, you know. Like, and they had enough of a budget to make.
But I have heard a lot about it. I don't know if it's because of the guys like you and Gangle.
Yeah, probably it's getting a lot of praise.
But yeah.
Can you imagine the sequel to this? What would you do with that character if you had another 2
Yeah.
hours?
I was thinking about that the whole time watching the movie this time. I was like, where would you go from here? Like, he already got everything he wanted, you know, the whole plot's resolved. Right?
Well,
I think you just take out the whole fucking town.
keep going.
Yeah,
I don't think his drug use during the film was going to help him. He put his job in jeopardy. Like, how's that going to be patched up?
Yeah.
He's definitely not passing a drug test now.
I think he might have to move locations and start dating again.
You brought up during the movie, like, what's it going to be like dating this guy? He comes with so much baggage.
Yeah.
But
imagine his Tinder profile.
I guess this is the opposite of wearing rose-colored glasses when you look at life, and maybe that's horror in general. Like, if you wanted to frame life and your daily existence in a dark way, you could do it easily. Like right now, you and I, all of us, we could look up murder stories, rape stories, natural disasters. I mean, we could focus and harp on our own aging, our own mortality.
Go on Discord.
Yeah, dude. Right. Just, it is a dark place. Like, even looking at YouTube comments, or just at the internet in general, there's a bunch of fucked up stuff going on there of just toxic shit. And so it's all a matter of the perspective you choose. And I think for a healthy person, they watch horror, they put a toe into horror only to sort of keep aware that the darkness is there, but then at the end of it choose to not make that be the sort of framework in which they view their life. Yeah,
basically.
But the other thing is,
some people just have that morbid fascination that they like to have sated, I guess. Like a curiosity towards darkness and stuff.
But then again, the danger is if you lie to yourself, if you don't look at, like, for example, a good litmus test is the ISIS beheading videos. Each one of us had to decide, do we want to click that link and watch that?
Yeah.
And if so, how many times and why? And if you're going to ignore them, and I've chosen to ignore them from now on, why am I okay? Can I rationalize that decision?
You have seen them though, right? Some of them?
Yeah. But imagine,
I've seen like one or two, and I was like, I don't ever need to see.
They're really freaky because they're so well made.
Yeah,
like
HD.
I've seen almost looks like you're watching a film.
One I saw was in that fast motion capture where it's like super slow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and
I
then
didn't see every detail of it. It was like, oh god, I don't ever want to see this again.
Yeah. They're not great.
recently they killed and beheaded 2 women in Morocco, and
I didn't see that
Yeah,
one
yeah, I
because
didn't watch
I'd
it.
seen enough before that, so I'm like,
yeah,
oh, I don't need to
yeah.
see it.
Somebody was passing around the link. I was like, I'm not interested.
Right. So what kind of a person would you have to be to engage in that on a daily or weekly basis, where you just say,
Oh, daily? Oh
well,
God.
just be
No.
like, well, I mean, imagine those dudes on Reddit or 4chan. They're clicking every link. They don't give a shit.
Oh yeah. Do
Some,
you remember Rotten.com? That was like a
mm-hmm,
big thing
yeah.
back in the
Yeah.
day, and that was like where you would just see images. That's not even as bad as seeing it in video, but even back then, it was like after a while of searching through that site, you were like, all right, that's
Well,
it.
so so maybe now in the age of the internet, where we have access to real horror, real gore, watching a horror film, a fictional film, is like fucking really a G-rated thing for you to do.
Well, I wonder if
Yeah,
that's why they've kind of gotten shit and people don't really like. You
Mm,
always hear the discussion of like, who's seen a good horror movie lately?
okay, so
And,
you're
and
saying,
and everyone always points to stuff like, oh, The Exorcist or oh, The Omen, like stuff that's 30
yeah,
years old.
and I think you raise a point, which is that back then it was novel, it was new,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
because you couldn't click on a
Mhm.
4chan link or a live leak
no,
back then.
No.
So now horror has the competition of real life.
yeah.
So what
Mhm.
is
Real
that?
life at your fingertips.
Right. I mean, for example, some people criticize, like, have you guys seen The West Wing?
No.
It's been a while.
Okay, but like The West Wing,
Boomer.
yeah, it had some positive things about it, and it was fun and whatnot. But the dialogue wasn't that realistic. Like the people were too smart,
Mm.
too quick, too funny. It wasn't naturalistic dialogue. And similarly, life is not like a romantic comedy. Nobody's that funny in your life.
Yeah.
Things aren't cute and charming and whimsical. So that's why people go to see a romantic comedy, because life is not competing with romantic comedies. Like
Yeah.
it's an altered state of reality.
Oh,
Life.
someone in the chat just sorry, go ahead,
No,
Tim.
no, no. That's fine.
Someone in the chat mentioned Under the Skin. That I love that
What
movie.
is that?
I still haven't seen that. I want to see that.
Oh, I love it. I
Scarlett
don't know if you guys will
Johansson.
like it, but it's Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked
I
about that.
love that
Yeah, yeah.
movie. Yeah, it's very bizarre, very art. I think it's far better than this, though. I
Well,
think, anyways.
I still gotta watch that. Let's see.
I think a lot of these movies, they rely on and they use the fact that they don't explain shit to you. Like, for
Mhm.
example, in this movie, they capture this woman, they bring out a big ass wasp or whatever, and they have it sting her neck, and we're left. Nobody explains that ever. It's
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like that just happened. Same thing with Under the Skin. Hardly anything is explained in that movie. You're just basically, you
Yeah.
start and you're in a state of confusion and ignorance, and
Right.
you end, and there's still a million questions.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the whole thing of like,
But the ride is really good.
mm, I,
Yeah.
I think that being cryptic and sort of being more mysterious is advantageous for filmmakers,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
because
It's the same with books too. I feel the same way with
but
most stories.
there's a lot of things that kind of go the Scooby-Doo route, where they have a scene at the end where you unmask
Right.
the villain and everything's explained, or the villain gives a speech. They do their rant.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did you see Hereditary?
Not yet.
Mm.
Don't ruin it.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm not going to. I was gonna
That's a
make an
good
example.
film. That's a good
Yeah.
film. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from what I hear, from what I gather, it has a new take. It's original. It's not just a remake of an old concept.
No. It leaves you guessing. That's for sure.
Okay, I'd like
Does
that.
it though? I mean,
I thought it did till like
okay. I won't say
to a
anything.
certain point.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got to see that.
All right. So that's it. Good night.
Marino's done.
Oh my God, Marino had a little emergency earlier. He sort of scared us. There was a massive explosion outside of his house.
Yeah, there was a car fire outside on the street, so it kind of freaked me out in the middle of Mandy too.
But it was
What the fuck was happening?
it was in the middle of a chainsaw fight. Like it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And I learned something about chainsaw fights, and that is the shorter, lighter chainsaw has an advantage
Yeah.
in hand-to-hand chainsaw combat.
Certainly seems that way. Keep that in mind.
But the other thing that I thought was funny was Nicolas Cage. He starts his revenge tour, and
Mhm.
he thinks he's doing well, but then he instantly gets captured again, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Because usually
Yeah.
when the guy has done his training montage, and he's like, okay, now it's time for me to fuck shit up. It's just a ceaseless destruction, and the guy's untouchable. He's going to win at the end.
Yeah.
Right. So what do we make of those bikers? Those
I,
what were they? Who were they?
I
What
think so,
what's the deal?
somebody brought up that they remind me of the guys from Weird Science.
I did. I saw
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Weird
Yeah.
It's the
science.
same guys. It's just the evolution of those dudes.
Yeah.
But
What did they represent? Is
Yeah,
there
it was weird,
something,
right? They called them with the conch. They like do the
well,
conch and
let's
thing.
start by
Yeah.
saying I think it's safe to say they're MAGA dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure,
Secret.
Republicans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Guaranteed. 100% Trump voters.
yeah. I mean, biker gangs are kind of fucked up. Actually, there's a new show with Killer Mike on Netflix, and
Mhm.
he's doing some sticky bullshit about being kind of a race vulture, but he he goes, look, hey, Hell's Angels is this white biker gang, and they sell merch. They have like T-shirts and products and leather or whatever. He goes, and I think the Crips should do that. The Crips should be selling like Crip Cola and stuff. But like there are biker gangs, and biker gangs. I haven't watched that TV show. What's that one about biker gangs?
Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, but I gather that they're into sort of drugs and prostitution and racketeering.
Yeah, basically.
Yep.
Right, but it's kind of low level. It's not like the mafia,
It's kind of big here in Canada.
is it?
Yeah,
Well, I
look
know.
it up.
It used to be big here in the States. I don't know how big it is anymore.
Well, they have it, but I feel like they stay in their niche. Like they do their sort of white trash shit, but it's not crazy. They're not like
No, I think
imperialistic.
don't they work with the mob? I
Can,
think they
I have
do.
can,
no
can we
idea.
just call them the mob? Are they just the
Yeah.
leather mob?
I don't know.
Leather mob.
All I'm saying is they have a lifestyle that is, what is it about? It's about they're transient. They're into cars. I mean, Maria, it's closer to you than anybody, really. These guys.
Yeah, I don't like Harleys.
You don't like the
I don't
sus-
like Harley Davidsons.
why the suspension or axle?
I just don't like them. All bark, no bite. Fight me.
Well, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the noise. Honestly, I wish I had a crossbow every time I hear a motorcycle go by.
Yeah, they're
those
loud as fuck.
Obnoxious ones. You don't hear them in Europe, actually. That's an American thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's no
Yeah,
chance some
like-
guy's going to be revving up some massive motorcycle through Switzerland. Just, I mean, that to me is a real penis compensator.
Yeah.
Not just the
well,
motorcycle, but the loud motorcycle. Like, what are you doing?
I have issues with Switzerland. So
Oh, do you? Right.
No.
well, they've banned motorsports there, so
Oh.
That's a bad move. That's a bad one.
that is really stupid. Yeah.
But it's like
Yeah.
the sound of the motorcycle comes from their crotch. So it's almost like their dick is screaming to the world, notice me.
They do call them crotch rockets, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the sport bikes, they call them crotch rock.
How is
So-
what?
No, I was just gonna say. So, what do we make of these
Oh yeah,
bikers?
yeah.
What were they?
If anything, to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, they represent something. To take them as just a literal group of demonic, acid-infused psychopaths,
Yeah,
they were messy as fuck. They don't know how to clean up their house.
yeah. No, it was horrid.
They hardly seemed human though. So maybe the
Right.
message is if you delve into the darkness of the human spirit, the human soul, and if you add fucked up drugs to that process, you end up being a totally contorted, barely recognizable version of a human being.
Yeah, he turned into a monster. Right?
And well,
So, is that what happened to him? Because his voice again
Mm.
started
Yeah,
started
it
to
started
sound
to, right?
I think that was
It's
just
like,
Nick Cage. I think he wasn't even acting at that point.
Yeah, but it's kind of like he had to delve into the darkness himself to be able to defeat them.
Right.
He
So
had to go sink to their.
I mean, on some level, most stories, especially film, is a analysis of the human condition. It's an insight into what
Yeah.
makes us tick. And this is obviously a grim version of that. I mean, was there any positive characters in here? Was it Nicolas Cage did let a woman go free?
Yeah,
That was goodness that he represented. Like he wasn't vindictive in that moment.
I thought he was gonna kill her.
Same here. I kind of wanted it.
Yeah,
I thought she was going to smile or be like, thank you, say something like thank you right before he did it.
yeah.
I mean, because we've seen this in other films, but I'm tempted to bring up the zombie metaphor. because zombies had a real resurgence, and zombies are not just zombies. Zombies represent something else about how we view our own selves or how we view other people. Maybe it's the fact that there's 7 billion people on the planet, and
Mhm.
7 billion of them are strangers to us. We know
Yeah.
like a very small fraction of the people out there. Sometimes I actually feel guilty when I'm walking around and I'm ignoring human beings, which is a daily occurrence.
Right.
I feel like these people are, very. I'm not respecting them by ignoring them.
You're like, do they even know who I am?
Right? I have over 100,000 subs for fuck's sake. Like, come on. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if you're sitting on a subway and
Good
there's
God.
there's one other person in the subway with you, and you have a 10-minute ride ahead of you, and you actively choose to not say hello to that person.
Right.
Now, maybe that's more rare in Canada, but in Jersey, Alpha would tell you that
No, you don't say hi to people on
no.
the subway here, or on the streets here.
And you know what's interesting is, especially let's say it's a girl, if you were to say
Yeah.
hi, they would
No.
assume you're a psycho. Like
Right.
they're gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna assume the worst of your
Yeah.
humanity, which is what we're talking about with this horror shit.
Mhm.
Like we're buying SIM cards today, me and my girlfriend, at a supermarket, and
Mhm.
we're waiting for a colleague, some guy that works at the supermarket, to come and help us with the setup. And I take off my jacket, my winter jacket, and I'm trying to like mess with my shoulder because my shoulder's been hurting me. And I have a t-shirt on and a beanie, and I'm sort of moving my arm around like this. And my girlfriend goes, Devin, what are you doing? Like, you're scaring people. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And she's like, you're like this bald, like muscle guy, and like you're moving your arms around, like people are alarmed. Like, chill. And she was like, she was like 20% kidding. Like she was like, you look intimidating. All right, just you don't realize it. And she wanted me to like
Oh
put my
shit.
jacket back on, and it was just weird. I was like, what? My shoulder hurts. And I turned it into a joke, but she sensed the darkness within me.
Oh
She sensed that I had
shit.
a little Nick Cage in me.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I mean, how about you? Do you guys ever position yourself in the role of the hero? So what would you do if you were Nick Cage in this story?
Oh shit.
Well, I suggested you go
Probably.
to the cops.
Yeah.
I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah, I'd probably do
I
the
mean,
same.
look
But
at what he
I
witnessed, right?
Well,
don't think I'd kill them so quickly. I think I'd torture them for
I'd
days.
probably be at least 3 bodies in before. This is a bad idea.
well, the thing is, I like the style that the director had, because he could have had him go for a gun,
Right.
Yeah.
just
Right.
pull
Yeah.
out some AK.
Yeah.
But there's no, I don't
Yeah.
know.
You did it with a bit of style. It
Yeah,
was,
you need more savagery to it. He was
Yeah.
beheading people, and I thought it was a pretty ballsy move for that old gray-haired woman to
Mm.
attempt to sexually seduce him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was falling on deaf ears like I've never
He
seen
was
before.
really giving him a
Yeah.
resume.
Yeah.
She's
Good at
like,
this. I'm good at that.
she's like, she's like 65 years old easily, and she's talking to Nick Cage, trying to seduce him, and talking about how I, I'm very sensual, I'm very attentive
Mhm.
lover.
I can telegraph your next move or
Yeah.
whatever. What did she said something
Well,
like that? Like, well,
it's not that hard to figure out. My next move is to put my dick in your vagina. It's not that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she started that with an opening sentence. Jeremiah says I'm his favorite lover, or something. That's
Yeah.
a bad way to try to convince me of something.
Meanwhile, the movie opened with him calling her.
You
Do
broke
you
up.
remember that scene?
Calling her a what?
An idiot. Don't you remember that scene near the beginning when he was saying you're
To who?
you fucked up again to the old the old lady,
Who said that? Oh, why?
the the
Yeah.
cult leader.
What did she
Remember
do
he was
wrong?
lying on the couch. They didn't get into it. But,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw recently another cult leader in a movie called, I watched it on the airplane, the Bad Times at the El Royale.
Oh yeah. I've seen the trailers for that.
Yeah, it was good. It's actually
Yeah, I should check that out.
the guy, I knew the guy who wrote it, the guy named Drew Goddard. He did,
Yeah, I've heard his name before. He's done a couple things, right?
yeah, he's done a bunch of shit. He used to write for Lost. I've actually hung
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
I played video games with him at his house. We have a mutual friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
and he did this one, Cabin on the Hill. No,
yeah. Oh no, Cabin in the Woods.
yeah, there it is.
That's a good one. I like that.
I just mixed House on Haunted Hill with Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Hills.
Cabin in the Haunted Hills. Yeah, so he had some original action, but in that film, there's a cult leader played by Chris Helmsworth who, it's all just fucked up. And what are these cults? These cults are all about sex. Like
Yeah,
that,
usually.
it's a big front.
Yeah.
And even if he went to like David Koresh in Waco, right? He had
Yeah.
children with the women there, like multiple
Was Jim
women.
Jones like that too? Was he doing the whole sex thing too?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
What is the point of having power if you aren't having sex?
Mm.
Yeah,
Is that a valid question? I
I
mean,
think so.
that's the question that like Bill Clinton asked himself.
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm the fucking president." Like, do you think Donald Trump is having an affair or multiple affairs in the White House currently? Do you think that will come out at some point? And obviously,
Shit.
he could come out with that news at a press conference himself, and nobody would care.
I honestly don't even think he's having sex with Melissa.
Of course, but that's what I'm saying. He's obviously not sleeping with her. So, do you think he has some side chicks who are sort of, ex beauty pageant, whatever, porn stars, and he has them under some strict ass NDA? Just
Maybe, I don't know.
what you don't what you think he's playing it like a Boy Scout?
No, I don't know.
It's just that gross.
Yeah, he's a fucking.
It's hard to
moron.
imagine anybody wanting to
Yeah.
touch it.
I mean, what are the odds he's fucked in the Oval Office? Anybody?
0.
Himself.
I bet he's
Himself.
never. Yeah, himself for sure.
What do you think Trump masturbates to?
Obama.
Now we're getting into horror.
Obama.
I mean,
Oh.
Hillary.
a mirror. Hillary. Yeah, God, is he messed up? I'm so out of touch though with all the drama, like the scandals. It's feels like a never-ending stream of scandals and bad omens and signs that he should be impeached at any time.
Yeah, there's stuff building up.
Actually, a lot of the shots of Nicolas Cage in this movie with him bleeding and gritting his teeth, it reminds me of looking at Trump's face. Like that, to me, it's a very uncomfortable feeling. It's a similar feeling I had.
You get the same feeling.
Yeah. I can't stomach it. Man. So do you think this guy Panos, what does he move on to from here? Does he...
He's done 2 movies that are like horror-ish and have to deal with cults. So I don't know if he's going to stick with cults, but I'm pretty sure he'll stick to the horror and grotesque.
Oh, he's pigeonholed. Yeah. But we got
You
to
think
Seems to be
so?
what he likes to make.
Or he'll get picked up by some huge studio and he'll do like
Yeah,
a
that's
romantic
possible.
comedy or a
Yeah.
super...
I just think that what Marino said earlier about this being somewhat, an homage or formulaic, it wasn't that new. I mean, some of the visuals and the style was new, but it was obviously this guy has inspirations. That is disappointing in the sense that what we crave, I think, not just as horror fans, but as any fan, is something original. That's what Pulp Fiction gave us. That's what, even in a disappointing fashion, that's what the Blair Witch Project was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blair Witch was good, but it's a one-shot deal.
Yeah. The first viewing I enjoyed it, but I could never watch it again. Yeah, it's just boring.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of hype around it too. Because I saw it in the theater when it came out,
me too.
and it was everybody was excited about it, right? And it was fun. It was enjoyable at that moment, just like this movie was. I enjoyed this too.
Well, yeah, as a movie, as a rewatch, Blair Witch is shit. There's no way you're rewatching Blair Witch right now and you're impressed. The whole originality of which I speak is the ad campaign and the buildup and the fact that they convinced an audience of people prior to the internet that this was a real thing. This was found footage, and this was like a really dark, sinister look at something fucked up that happened to some kids in the woods.
Yeah, it was almost like War of the Worlds, right on the...
Yeah, similar.
Panic.
And also,
But this was on purpose.
Just the buzz around it. The buzz was, you've got to see this because this is new. Something new is happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the same way, like Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit, the energy of that song, the buzz of that song was, this is not hair metal. This is not Poison. This is not Guns N' Roses. This is something else. Like, this is new, and it's the newness that we crave. And it's hard to replicate, obviously, especially when, like, even if you're new, like, if this guy's style is new, what's his next film going to be? New again? Or is it going to be the same for him? Because we've seen this guy before.
Yeah, do more of the same.
Pitfalls of the second album.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
sophomore, what they call it, the sophomore jinx or the
Yeah.
Yeah.
sophomore slump. Yeah. So how does one? First of
But
all,
this was his second one, right? So we have to. I haven't seen his
Yeah, I
first
don't know
one.
if you want to count his first one because that's really low budget underground. So
well,
this one at least is more, widespread.
you know Robert Rodriguez, I believe, the guy who did Desperado.
El
Yeah,
Right.
Mariachi.
and
So
Mariachi. I remember
so
when I saw that.
yeah, El Mariachi was the low budget version. Then he got the funds, and then he does
Hmm.
Desperado, which a movie I love. But clearly, those two movies are very similar to each other.
Yeah,
Um, the question is, how much importance do you put on originality? Are you able to identify it, and then replicate it in a completely different context?
yeah,
Or is it just everyone's basically a one-trick pony and just do your trick and hopefully that will be new to somebody? Because we see this with pop stars. Pop stars, they try to reinvent themselves. Madonna
yeah.
did it. You see even
Mm.
Boy George. Boy George is he's like a DJ now. He's in EDM and all sorts of shit. Copper Cap is reinventing himself.
Yeah, now he's fighting people.
Yeah,
Fuck.
Copper Cap. Um, I'm just trying to like figure out if there's a lesson in there. How like who would you list as an artist, a content creator, not YouTube, but like film, TV, writing, who is constantly original? Like that is that trait that you see in
Yeah,
them
it's
and
hard.
admire in them, where they take risks. Like Radiohead did a bunch of like albums that were totally deviant
Different.
from their
Yeah.
previous albums.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
And I like those ones.
You like them better?
Yeah, more mainstream stuff. Although I think OK Computer is still my favorite
Hmm.
album.
I heard.
And Kid A, but they've gone more
Oh yeah, they're
out
off
there
the
than
deep
that.
end.
Yeah.
I heard Kurt Cobain doing an interview in like '93 or something, and he was saying, "We're basically sick of grunge, like three-chord
Oh
grunge.
yeah.
They're like,
Oh
we're,
yeah.
we're done with it."
I remember him talking about electronic music back then, and
Hmm.
yeah,
What do you call it? He's like
I
new
remember
new
that
wave.
clearly.
He said he wanted to
Yeah,
be part of new wave.
yeah.
That's like an early '80s
He was,
genre.
he was
Yeah,
gonna go all Joy Division.
right. Or I guess a resurgent new wave. I guess I don't know.
He
Pop.
did cover. He did cover a Devo song.
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
gone in that direction. Yeah. Turn
So
around.
I guess inherent in what I'm describing is the risk, financial risk, um, reputational risk of trying
Hmm.
something that there's no guarantee that people are going to like what you're doing next. So
Yeah.
if you did something to bring you to the dance, why not stick with that thing? That's what your agent's going to tell you. So like,
Yeah,
just
of
do
course. But if you're an artist,
you
can you imagine being
cut out.
someone like Kurt Cobain? Am I really?
But no,
Fuck.
you got it. If you're an artist,
Yeah,
so
you get sick of doing the same thing, right? Especially if you have fans coming up.
yeah.
Hey man, do that thing.
Well, it's interesting. Like
Imagine that happening to you, right?
you'll see people like artists like Britney Spears or Rihanna or somebody, and they'll be at a concert, Beyonce, and people do want to hear the hits. They want to hear the classics.
Yeah.
And but what they'll do oftentimes is they'll put a totally new spin on it. It'll be a remix. They'll have a totally different, costuming and dance routine, and so for them, at least, it's a new version of an old song. But for the audience, it's familiar enough. But then there is a twist. Like for me, when I used to, I love the see. This is why I loved mashups. The originality of mashups when they first came out, it had never been done before.
Hmm.
Take one song, the lyrics of one song, the vocals on one song, put to the music of another. That I had not experienced that in the '70s, '80s, '90s. It just didn't happen.
Mm.
And now that sort of has played out in the sense that it's not new anymore. And so for me, what has been interesting is, well, remixes are always different. They're by their nature, they're putting something new on it. But what I like to do now is mashups of mashups. So like I've done a few videos like that where like that to me is new. And maybe it's like this ravenous nature of human beings where we're kind of like the locust. We're constantly seeking. I think Sam Harris was talking about that with Stephen Fry, where he was saying we never achieve happiness. It's like this mirage, or it's this rainbow, chasing a rainbow. It's like you think you have achieved the thing you want, and then it's like, well, now I've done that, so I need something else to seek.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always how it is.
Would you guys say that you have a tendency to be repetitive? I mean, we're all creatures of habit, but in
Yeah.
terms of your creative life, do you find it hard to be original?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hmm.
I would
it's
say so.
not easy because you're second guessing, right? If you're an artist, if you're doing something creative, you're always second guessing yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
And so you're wondering, is this good or is it? Do I like it? Will anyone else like it?
and also,
And then
yeah,
you say, I don't care what anyone else thinks, but then you kind of do, and
you do, right? But you can't.
yeah,
You can't care what they think
no,
to try it.
no,
Maybe
it's a discipline.
maybe trying something in public is a different animal than trying something in private. So like as an artist, you don't even know if something's going to be gratifying or rewarding
Mhm.
until you do it. So
Yeah, I mean, what I do is completely private, right? I mean,
well,
I'll
that's
Yeah.
show some people what I do, but
yeah. I mean, you told me
it's
this.
like 100,000.
You mentioned that
Sorry, go on.
in confidence to me. You said like you thought gay sex was going to be lame until you tried it, and then it was like,
Oh man.
And I'm like, wow, Devin, you
yeah,
should really try.
yeah. It's
I mean, you're in Toronto, it's cold.
we have Paul comes in with super chat. People like hated songs after 3 listenings. Weird, and that's true too. Familiarity. It's interesting if you took the life cycle of how you engage with a song. Oftentimes, upon a first hearing of a song, you're indifferent. Upon the second hearing, you're like, oh, yeah, I kind of remember that and like it, and it triggers some endorphins. And then the third time, you're like, I like the song. I'm favoriting it, and now I'm looping it. And then 20
Yeah.
plays in, you're like, I'm tired of this shit. This is like an ongoing nightmare where I got to stop. I got to get away from this song.
Mm. Oh, there's a thing of, you hear a new album and you hate it. And then
Mm.
a few listens later, it's like, this is the greatest.
Yeah, I do that a lot. Well, like one or
Yeah.
two songs on an album, so I'll just listen to those two. But every once in a while, it creeps over to the next song, and then I'll
Well,
start liking another one and another one.
Mhm.
it's to the point where if you're going to show someone a new song and have them listen to it and give you their judgment on it, they should really listen to it twice.
Yeah.
But
Oh, at
before they
least.
even open their mouth, like don't even say anything.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But maybe this leads to a larger point, which is when we're talking about taking risks and venturing into things that are unknown, we don't even know what we don't know. So how do I know? Like
No, there are no knowns and there
yeah. So maybe to
Who
become
said that?
aware,
Is it Rumsfeld said that?
is that right?
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
To
Yeah.
be aware of your ignorance, like for example, I didn't do video forever. I stayed away
Mm.
from video and video editing, and I was like, that's a world that's not my thing. I'm more like animation and Flash web design and all that. And you know, I was missing out on a huge amount. Now there's people out there right now. They've never edited videos. Like there's a guy sitting there listening to this right now. He's never made a music video. Maybe he's awesome at it. Maybe he'd love doing it, but he hasn't tried. So you have
Yeah.
to try. Maybe you have a new spin.
I wouldn't mind trying that. I mean,
Hmm.
you and Alf can do it. I figure
Yeah, great. No, but like,
give it a shot.
It was intimidating because I didn't know anything about any program for editing. They said, I want to edit. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I just did it.
half the
It took a
time
while to figure out how to even operate the programs.
when I'm streaming and I'm showing people my process and my workflow and how I create music videos and YouTube videos, like that is just a video tutorial on how to do what I do. I'm
Mhm.
showing people behind the scenes. That's it. That's everything.
Well, you're showing them the technical side of it, right? But that's
Well, sometimes I'm talking through
only.
the reasoning on how and why I'm choosing to do stuff.
Oh yeah, of course, but left to their own devices, people won't choose that. That's where the creativity comes into.
Yeah, no, that's why
You
I'm
can't.
not worried
That's the
about
part you can't really teach. Yeah,
exactly.
it doesn't matter. I know people that are masters of Photoshop and Illustrator, but they couldn't design a logo to save their lives.
Yeah, it's like Ricky Gervais saying, "Here's my secret to comedy. I use English words and I omit them from my mouth." It's like, okay, but still, there's a secret sauce that makes Ricky Gervais that you're not going to have access to.
Mhm.
But like anybody can delve into these places and try stuff. It's just a matter of time and motivation, I suppose, and a willingness, a sort of, I guess that there's a certain courage to not only trying something, creating something, but then showing it to other people because now you're
Mhm.
open to their feedback and reaction, which is wild. Like, but I got to give people credit, man. This is a hard left turn in a conversation, but I've I'm kind of amazed at this movie Bumblebee, this Transformers movie, because
Yeah.
everything about that movie, this is like essentially Transformers Part 7, and this movie got 96, 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. So
Wow.
logic dictates that I should see this movie, and
So
Crazy.
are they like the standard Rotten Tomatoes? Is that
yeah, it's not just one. It's not Rotten Tomatoes saying it. It's hundreds of people. They've amassed
mm,
all the critics that count, and they're saying this is the score. So it's universally
mm.
everybody likes this film, and I'm almost like I feel obligated to watch it.
Yeah, I
have
haven't
no
watched it either, and a lot of people have been telling me, "Oh, you got to see it. It's pretty good,
I
man."
have no interest
I'm
in
like,
it. I don't
Exactly.
know.
Well, but it's cars, Marina.
Yeah, but
It's not F1.
exactly.
If they did F1 Transformers, you'd be like, opening
No, I
day.
wouldn't. That's sacrilege.
You would
man.
you wouldn't
Yeah,
camp out.
that's
Do you remember the nerds who?
you can't make racing bad. They never come out good. There's two good ones made ever in history, and that's it.
Mhm. Marino is a big fan of racing. It's very perplexing. Like I keep waiting for him to say, "I'm just kidding," but he never says it.
Well, the numbers are on my side.
Well, when I was in Toronto last week, a few days ago, I was amazed at the fascination of hockey, curling, uh, just
You
winter
said you
winter
saw a guy with a
sports.
hockey
Curling.
stick.
Yeah, right. And but I guess F1. So from that standpoint, a lot
Yeah,
of your interests up there are foreign to me.
yeah. Well, F1 isn't big here.
Well, let me ask you: we have a major sporting event coming up, the Super Bowl. Will you guys be watching?
Fuck no.
Neither of you are football fans.
Football? No. Never
Okay.
watched the game in my life.
Well, how about from a pop culture standpoint? Does it interest
No,
you that
don't
100 million people will be watching this?
don't care.
Couldn't you're going to be
Don't care.
you're going to be
Yeah, I
refreshing the
would fall
McLaren,
asleep.
right?
Yeah,
Well, there is drama, and
yeah.
it
Grant's
is.
gonna kill me. Grant's gonna be like,
Yeah, he's over
I'm
that.
not gonna watch it
"You're
either.
a jackass."
Oh my god! I said omitting from my face instead of emitting. Oh my god! Got the freaking word police on me. Uh, yeah, I am intrigued by. Sometimes there can be some transfer of inspiration from seeing an artist, even in a field that is nothing to do with what you do. But passion is sort of contagious sometimes,
Yeah.
and also greatness. Just if you see something done in an excellent fashion. Not saying that this Mandy movie was that, but it took some risks and it was bold in what it was trying to do. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, it's almost like being a judge at a high diving event. You have to judge
Hey,
the difficulty of the dive and like what was the diver trying to do, and then did they do it well?
yeah. If I let a lot slide with movies nowadays. I'm harsh a critic
Hmm.
as I used to be. I mean, if a movie is good looking now, I'll probably watch it, and I will probably like it.
Because you are more lenient with your
Visuals for me are huge.
yeah.
I mean, that's the field I'm in, and it's the stuff I love that gets
Well,
me going. And this was a really good looking movie. Yeah.
for the longest time,
No.
during the dawn of CGI, what we'd have is big budget movies that were spectacular to look at. Like the visual effects team did their best, but the movies were shit and
Yeah.
contrived and formulaic. And so you'd leave it going, that was like a hot mess. It was like emotionally, I'm left feeling empty, but it still looked rad, you know. And now what we're finding is we don't need to have either or. We're having a combination of both those things. Like, I love Avatar, for example. Avatar did really well. I can't wait for Avatar 2. And I think all the people that naysay on Avatar, which by the way should have won Best Picture, they're going to
No.
be nerding out over Avatar 2 and the advancements. That's a guy. James Cameron's a guy who pushes it. He's pushed
Yeah, it's gonna
himself.
be
What
weird
won
to
that
see what
year?
it
Oh,
looks
that was
like.
the year's.
Uh,
No, not Zero Dark 30. Hurt Locker.
yeah, Hurt Locker. And you know what?
Hurt
I
Locker.
hate Jeremy Renner like a fucking
I know you do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I felt like he snatched it away from my beautiful blue alien.
You really liked Avatar that much? Huh?
Yeah, I like Avatar's beautiful. It's a well done film.
Yeah, I liked it,
Look,
but I'm not a huge fan of it. But I liked it a lot.
Avatar.
It's telling me to control R. I gotta reset.
Avatar.
So the sequel might bring it all back and make me love it.
Avatar made like $1 billion. Okay.
Yeah, it was huge.
It is well acted. It's Sigourney Weaver, for God's sakes. It's alien. It's
My
fantasy.
My mom bought it on DVD.
Yeah,
like when it came out on DVD.
And people are like, "Oh, well, Avatar's not an original story." Based on what? There's tons of originality in Avatar, just because it has what, a beginning, middle, and end. There's a love interest. There's a yes. It dances with wolves, but with dudes painted blue on an alien planet? Yes,
Mhm.
but it's a million other things involved in it. It's like saying, "Oh, that new song is not original because it's got chorus and verses and lyrics." It's like, God, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, I don't really care that much. It's like
it
it was
didn't do much for
original
me
enough. It
Wasn't original
was
enough.
original enough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm saying it was. It was original enough. It looked nice, and it was. When it comes to movies, a lot of times I judge movies individually, where I'll be
Mhm.
like, this kind of movie, I can judge this just on how much fun I had. This movie I could judge by what it looks like and how it was filmed.
Well, here's the thing.
Stuff like that.
I mean, a movie like, see, Marino likes Blade Runner.
Yeah.
He liked the remake of Blade Runner, but if you look at the box office of the remake of Blade Runner,
Oh
compare
yeah.
that to Avatar,
No failure.
it's going to be
Yeah.
smoked. But the reason is because Blade Runner is not trying to appeal to a wide family-friendly
No.
audience. Those are the big dollars. Bring the family.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those are the
Blade
movies that are
Runner.
made for fun. That's why I say I can judge those movies and say this was a fun film. And I
Right,
enjoyed
like
it.
Blade
I enjoyed
Runner
it.
was rated R too, so there's no way it was gonna make a lot of money.
Like I would love to see the NC-17 version of Avatar. Like, I would that'd be awesome. I remember the sex scene in Avatar. They cut it short. It was like a little bit of grinding, and then it's just, we're out. We're waking
And
up.
you find out that the guy who did Mandy's doing Avatar 2.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Can you imagine?
Just you start.
Nick
Starring
Cage
Nicolas
comes
Cage.
back.
You start.
Yeah.
It's Nicolas Cage all blue, and he's like wielding some new like bone crushing arrows, and he's just like,
Yeah, that would be amazing.
oh, he's riding one of those like pterodactyl things.
Yeah,
Oh,
but it's like blowing smoke out its mouth and shit.
that's so cool. But good for him. At least he got away from the Christian cinema. Actually, this movie did have Christian themes in it, but it definitely wasn't the.
The exact opposite themes
Yeah.
that the other one had.
It wasn't pro Christianity. Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see how he could move on from this. Like, what's his agent offering him next?
I've been seeing on Twitter that he's getting another horror movie's coming out with him by the same producers
Oh,
as
yeah.
Mandy, but not the same director.
He's not gonna go.
So it'll probably be in that.
He's not gonna do Dancing with the Stars.
No, it's actually an adaptation of a H.P. Lovecraft story from
Solid gold.
the 20s called The Color Out of Space.
Oh, cool. Well, I need to follow that Twitter account. I like to.
And Elijah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood was involved in this, right? He
Yeah,
was one
he
of
was
the
an
producers.
produced it, right?
producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, let us switch gears and watch a little Brown Fabio and Jesse Lee Peterson.
Yeah, let's do
Switch
it.
gears.
That was very fun, though. Thank you guys for chatting about.
Yeah, no problem.
Good
Thank
shit.
you for having us on.
Yeah, of course. Now we're gonna do Rabbit.
Fatality.